Boys, what are we saying? Welcome back to another video. And in this video, I'm going to give you some game on how to get rid of all your bad habits, right? Because I had a comment from this guy right here. Here's a comment. Yep, and he's saying that he's always stuck in a rut. He always keeps going back to his bad habits and end up at rock bottom, right? And less than a year ago, mate, I'm speaking to you and everyone else watching this, that was me, right? I was stuck in bad ways, smoking weed, doing snus, nicotine pouches, drinking. I didn't really get on the vaping train, but I was still doing nicotine, which is snus. And as of now, I do not do any of those habits. And me getting over all the hurdles and trying to quit these habits, once you know how to do it, it's 10 times easier to quit than you think it is, right? So I'm going to give you some game on how I managed to quit all these vices. But before we get into that, if you're watching this, there's a version of you, the level 100 version of you, and whatever level you are now, right? The top maxed out guy and the version you are now, right? If you're watching this, you want to become the level 100 version. So, first question, what does that level 100 version of you and the highest potential version of you do which you right now do not do? Is he jacked? Is he confident? Does he eat healthy? Is he respected? And you now, you're vaping, eating shite, you're a big fat smelly blob on the couch, you don't get any birds, you're a loser, right? So, what's the difference between these guys? How have they got to where they've got to? Bang, you guessed it, habits. If you didn't know that, well, now you know. The habits is what makes you progress to become that character, right? So, for you to become this level 100 and new character of yourself or get on the right path of becoming that guy, you have to take control of your habits, right? So, how do we take control of the habits? All you need to know is whatever humans do, they do because they're either trying to run away from pain or gain pleasure. Right, right. So, here's a scenario, right? So, you go down the pub and you drink pints and you rip your vapes because it's pleasurable, right? It's fun, you enjoy it, you like your wee blue raspberry 3000 whatever flavour. It's nice, it tastes nice, so you rip it. You know that you do these bad habits because it's pleasurable, and you don't want to stop doing them because you think, oh, if I want to stop vaping or smoking or drinking, that's hard, I don't think I can do that, that's hard. So you think stopping is painful. Stopping the habit is painful. This is you right now, this is what you think. Stopping the habit is painful, and continuing to do the habit is pleasurable, right? So in your brain, there's a bunch of different habits of everything you do that you find painful and pleasurable. But here's the magic, or here's the secret part, right? You can choose whatever you find pleasurable and whatever you find painful. Okay, so, story with me, right? I used to be addicted to snus. Tanning it all the time, blah blah blah, oh, snus is class, he's a snus class. Right, this is like nicotine if you don't know what that is. And at one point I was like, oh shit, I think I've got gum disease. Right? So, when I thought I had gum disease, bang, I stopped it instantly, because that's painful. I don't want gum disease. I'm not going to keep doing snus if it's going to give me gum disease. Like, that's painful. So, I stopped doing it for ages, went to the dentist, got my gums checked out, and they're like, oh, you're fine, like, they're healthy, like, what are you talking about? So that pain point of me thinking I'm getting gum disease was removed completely, and I went straight back to doing snus, right? That's when it clicked in my brain, or the real life example of me realising what you do is pain and pleasurable, so I had to switch it. So I did snus for years, right? And now, recently, it's got a lot of hype, like Zins, like all the Nelk boys, Bradley Martin, like it's coming into fashion now, right? And that's exactly when I've stopped. So it's more popular now, right? Which makes it even harder to stop. So my pain point is everyone's ripping these vapes, everyone's getting this snus, everyone's addicted to it. So I think in my brain, if everyone's doing this and nobody has the strength to stop it, I think that's painful if I'm getting sucked in like everyone else. If I get sucked in and do all this vaping and snus and smoking which everyone else is getting sucked into. How am I going to be any different? How am I going to go above the crowd if I'm doing everything they're doing? That's a scary thing. So in my head, in my ego, I think everyone else is too weak to stop. Do I want to be too weak to stop also and never get to where I want to be like everyone else? Maybe that's an ego thing, but I can choose whatever I think is painful. So I don't touch it. I walk in when I was first stopping, I'd walk in Tesco, see it, or Velos, all the brand new flavours. Oh, I really want to try that. Stand and stare at it. Like, maybe I should just try another flavour. And Alex Ramosi said this quote. I'm sitting staring at it, I'm like, nah, this is where most people give up. Most people would go and buy that new flavour. You're not getting me though. And then that's what I think, because I think it's painful going back to it. Bang, right? Another thing with weed. So I used to smoke almost every day a wee while ago, and imagine I'd be stoned in my room, thinking in my bed, thinking, fuck, like knowing I'm living like a loser. Thinking, how do I get out? How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? Watching all this self-improvement stuff, thinking there's no way out. Like I'm fucked. And now that I'm out of that bubble, if I'm ever in a situation again, if someone offers me, do you want to smoke? All I need to do is think back to that situation, remember how shit I felt, remember how awful I felt, remember how I was trapped, and remember that pain. So I've linked that to smoking weed, that I never want to go back down that path again because it's so painful. So you can choose what you find painful and what you find pleasurable, right? So using vaping as an example, because I feel like that's what everyone does now, right? But you can do this with anything you want. So, right now, you're vaping because you find it pleasurable and you think it's painful to stop, right? You need to flip it. You need to think, if I don't stop vaping, what is all this going to happen? I'm going to be like everyone else, sucked in, spending a load of money. I'm messing up my lungs. I will never be the fullest potential version of myself if I keep ripping these vapes. If I buy that vape and rip that new blue raspberry whatever, my level 100 version of myself would never do that. So if I go and buy this right now, I will never ever be the level 100 version of myself. And that should scare you. That should scare the fuck out of you. Like, do you want the quick, instant gratification of a nice wee new flavour and head rush, but you're sacrificing becoming the best version of yourself? The other good way to think about it is, if you just get a load of all the pain points, you buying the vape and not buying the vape, it's almost like going over and saying, someone comes over to you and says, oh mate, I'll give you a tenner if you give me £100. Who's doing that? The trade-off is just so not worth it. So all you need to know is you have the power to find what you find pleasurable and what you find painful, right? And you think, right, do I want to go down the path of the fat blob or the best version of myself? No one wants to be a fat blob. In every situation you are, imagine you're at a crossroad, right? Like, do you know the wee fork in the road? I'm going to put a diagram in. And one path, you're going to end up being a big fat blob on the couch. And the other path is the highest potential level 100 version of yourself. And whenever you're in any situation ever, all you need to do is think, what would the level 100 version of me do? And you think not doing what the level 100 version of you would do. You just need to link disgusting amounts of pain to it that the trade-off, it just isn't worth it. And that's something that really helped me a lot, just understanding what you link pain and pleasure to. If that helped you, remember to fucking like and subscribe. But